What is up, everybody?
Hello. Happy Tuesday.
Welcome to week 4 of 6. We're doing this financial freedom training, building week by week on giving you an actionable plan to hitting your personal financial goals.
So I got to do a little bit of the housekeeping stuff. So if you want to ask a question, any question at all relating to the topics that we've discussed prior or the topic we're talking about tonight, make sure you subscribe, and then you can ask any question in the chat on the right-hand side. So if you try to ask a question and you're not subscribed, it literally is going to be like, it's not going to let you. So make sure you subscribe first and then ask a question, and then we will get to those questions at the end. And also, if you like this content, make sure to follow us on Instagram. You can follow Brett Shakavis, Laura Shakavis, or also Assisted Living Mansion on Instagram. And there's lots of content on there relating to financial freedom.
Fantastic. So for tonight, these are short and sweet, very action-packed, very practical. Try and keep them to about 30 minutes or less, and then we'll take some questions. If you guys have questions, we'll hit that. So we are on our 4th step going through this. Really, the whole point is, how do we get financial freedom? How do we get to a place where we can choose to work if we want to, but we don't have to? How do we get to a place where if we did decide to stop working, we have more income coming in every single month than our expenses? If we spend $5,000 a month, how do we get more than $5,000 a month coming in every single month, no matter what? Even after we die, it still can come in and pass to our kids or our spouse or whomever. How do we get that, right? That's what passive income is. Right now, you're working, you're trading your time for money. That is active, right? How do you get to a place where you stop trading your time? And we're spending the 6 weeks here going through that, and we're on week 4 talking through this plan. So tonight we're going to be talking about savings and saving to invest, specifically a strategy for that. We're going to take it from a very basic kind of like, yeah, I know that too. Hey, you know what? Here's the realistic, most practical way to get it done, because everyone knows how to save, but nobody saves, right? So how do I make this switch in my mind? It's like, you know, I've read books on surfing. That doesn't make me a good surfer. What are the actionable steps that we can take to ensure that we are saving? So here's kind of the plan on this is we are looking at it just very mathematically, right? We're talking about numbers here. We're talking about getting to a place where you are able to save. So before you're able to save, you have 2 things, right? You have your expenses and your income. So we've talked about the last 2 sessions on this, right? Being able to cut your expenses down, looking at it from a monthly perspective, cutting it by 10%. If you are, spending $5,000 a month, how do you cut that expenses, right? How do you get down to 500? Starting there, cutting the bull crap, the fluff, the bad habits, right? And then building from there. By the point that you get to, month 3, 4, 5, 6, now you've cut an additional 10% to a total of 20%. Can you cut 20% of your spending, man? Because then you'll be rock star. You'll be in an amazing spot. That, I think, is a good defensive play. That's where you should start. You're not going to get rich by saving a bunch of money. No rich people get rich that way. They get rich by making more money, right? That was what we talked about last week. That is the most important. After you stabilize and you balance your personal budget, then you focus all of your attention on the most important part, your income. That's the most powerful number. You can literally double your income this year if you put your mind to it. So that's what we want to do. We want to increase our income. And again, starting with, how do I make an extra 10% of my income? If I'm making that $5,000, how do I add an extra $500? That's not that hard, right? That's $125 a week. Can you do a Saturday for $125? Heck yeah, everybody can, right? How do you increase that from 10%, then to 15, then to 18, then to 20%? If you are decreasing your expenses by 20% a month, $1,000, let's say in this example, and increasing your expenses by 20%, another $1,000, there's a $2,000 spread. Most Americans do not save $2,000 a month. They are not putting away $24,000 a year, right? There's most people have just a couple $100 in savings. So this is the action play, right? How do you have an actionable plan? It's simple. It's just not easy. This is time tested. People have been doing this for thousands of years. They've been doing this with sheep, right? Before there was dollars and things like that. So this is not something we are inventing. We're not making this strategy up. This is the proven model that people have been using forever. And there's something to that. There's something in power in that it's simple. It's just not easy. And it really comes back to this commitment of you having this conversation with your spouse and being like, babe, you know what? We're in the crapper right here, right? Like we have no financial plan. We have nothing set for retirement. Like we can't take care of our own family the way we want to do it. We can't put our kids in the schools and the neighborhoods that we want to do it. We have pain. We have something that there's a big gap from where we are now and where we want to be. And we know God gave us these special gifts and abilities to be able to make money and save and invest. We just need an actionable plan.
I think it's knowing that there's another option. I think that's where we kind of had that mindset shift of we don't have to just live paycheck to paycheck. We don't have to work at a job that we hate and a boss that, has disrespect toward us and have no money at the end of the month. I think once we learned that there was an option for money to work for you, that was really when we expanded our minds to believe that, hey, maybe this can happen for us. And so we are here to tell you that, yes, your money can work for you. You don't necessarily have to work for money. And so our hope is that you understand that and that you can implement that in your personal life.
All right, well, let's talk about this today. We're talking about savings. And I like to use this analogy of you as a single person or your family as if you're married or have a family and kids. This analogy of your family being its own business. A business, right? You judge a business based on their profit. If you looked at two businesses side by side, you were going to value them, right? Maybe you wanted to make an offer on one. And they both did the exact same thing. They both made the exact same sales. One of them had higher expenses and had no profit, and one of them had a good profit. Which business is more valuable, right? Obviously, the one that has profit. Why is your family any different than that? If you make great income, you make a couple $100,000 a year, and you still have zero savings every month or negligible 1-2%, your family is just like a failing business. You are one paycheck, one bad month, one bad quarter away from going out of business, right? Declaring bankruptcy for your family. Think of it from that perspective. You are just like your own business, and you and your spouse are the owners of this company. You're also the employees of this company, right? And you're paying yourself a salary. You're doing these things. What is the point of spending all of this time working and slaving away and climbing corporate ladder to have nothing at the end of the month, right? To have nothing that you can invest. So I hope that kind of puts the perspective that, you know what, you need to be saving at least 20%. The richest people in the world on average save at least 40% of their income. 40%, right? That may seem like a huge number. If you're just saving 40% of your active income, then yeah, that is a big number. But if you have a big passive income coming in, no, it's no big deal at all. Laura and I started saving by something almost nothing. We save 90+% of our income now, right? Because a lot of our income is passive. It just comes in every single month. We don't spend it. We spend our income from our jobs. But this is the whole play. Saving more and more and more so that you can get that snowball rolling, so that you can have that passive income that comes in, because it just builds, right? It is not fast. It is long and slow, but steady. And the growth is exponential and exponential and exponential. But if you never start, man, it doesn't go anywhere. So that's what we're going to talk about today. How do you get to this savings spot? And I'll share my screen real quick and show you what we're talking about here. We're talking about two types of profit, right? We're talking about, or two types of savings. And we're going to talk about some savings accounts. So let me kind of put this in perspective. Everybody has like their personal savings account, right? Laura and I have a personal savings account, and that's good. You need that account. But that's not what we're going to be talking about today. In the strategy, in the practical, like how do I make this real? This is how do I make this real? I get a second savings account, and we call it a sacred account because it's sacred. And I actually think this is not your money. This money is not for you. It's for your future self. So let me unpack that a smidge more. If you look at it here, your future self, when you're 70, 80, 90 years old, and you have to go to assisted living or memory care, and it costs $10,000+ a month, where is that money coming from? That money is coming from this sacred account. It's your future self's money. Your personal savings account, man, that's your money for right now, for this year, for next year, right? Your rainy day fund is there. Your oh crap money is there. Your retirement money should not be there, right? You may have a 401k or some kind of pension. Great, awesome. Do that, do your matching, do all of that kind of stuff. But you should have a sacred account that you and your spouse have set up, and you've got this plan together, and you're paying yourself first. You're taking your top line income, what comes in on your salaries or your deals or whatever your commissions, and you're pulling off that 20 or 30 or 40%, and you're sending it to this sacred account. This is the practical part. If you do not do this, if you put it in your personal savings account, you will always find a problem. There is always some problem that comes up that wants your money. If you do not put it aside so that it's literally not your money, because I don't consider our money in our sacred accounts my money. It is my future self's money, right? I'll probably never spend it. It'll probably go to my kids. But you have to look at it from that perspective. It's not your money. And when you do take this paying yourself first idea, you take it right off the top and you put it right into your sacred account. That is what will make a difference. Most of the time, people try to do all of this kind of stuff with savings and they never get ahead. They'll get $5,000 in their account, right? They'll have enough for the rainy day fund, and then the transmission goes out, or they have to change the roof, or there's a leak, all those kind of things, and it goes back down again. They work just hard enough to get it up enough where they're safe and they're secure. Really, you just got to get uncomfortable. This is not easy, right? It's a lot of, hey, babe, let's just get on the same page and let's sacrifice and let's just hit this stuff together. That's what it is. It's a lot of coming together on the same page and saying, you know what, this sucks, but let's just put in the hard work. Let's do this season, because it is only a season. It might be a long season. It might be 5 years. It might be 8. It might be 10. It might be 20 years. We were able to get to financial freedom in 8 hard years and I want to emphasize hard, like hardcore sacrifice, spending no money, hustling, working every single day. But man, we got that place by following this strategy and then buying rental properties, bringing in passive investments. And so this is a play that you can do as well.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard of Grant Cardone, but we took his approach to going broke, is what he calls it. And it really is what we implemented and what we did. We literally budgeted, right? We had every dollar went towards something. And then we also put all that money of savings that we had that month into that sacred account. And so when I would look at my checking account, like where we'd spend from, it would always be like under $100 by the end of the month. And it literally felt like we were going broke. And so, yes, there was kind of a little bit of like a feeling at the end of the month, but I also knew that we had put money aside and that money was going toward our future self. So I still had that, like, I don't want to say like scarcity mindset, but I kind of did at the same time, because it was a good place to be in, because then I kept going each month, knowing that like I only had a certain amount each month, and knowing that I also was putting money into my sacred account that I wasn't touching and that I wasn't spending from. And so when Brett said it was 8 hard months, or years, it was very long, 8 years, because we were sacrificing. But looking back on it now, 100% worth it. I would do it all over again.
So we're going through this, and there's a process here. You're saving, you're putting into the sacred account, but I do think that you should be paying off your bad debt. And I want to talk about that, the distinguishing difference between good debt and bad debt. And it depends on who you ask, right? There's some people who say all debt is bad. And there's plenty of people who say, hey, this type of debt is bad, but these type of debt is good. And I think that's for you and your spouse to talk through. But I would simplify good debt versus bad debt in this way. Does it help you financially? This debt, does it help you? Good debt helps you grow wealth. We have lots and lots of debt against real estate, and it cash flows. That builds wealth, right? Then there's bad debt. Credit card debt is bad debt. Perhaps, another type of vehicle that's kind of like, man, we're in Texas. You got these guys buying these $100,000, douchey trucks. It's like, bro, you didn't need that $1,200 a month payment.
Yeah.
Right? Like I got my 20-year-old truck in the driveway here and it works just fine, starts every time, right? There's a difference between, making a monthly payment that helps grow your wealth and that really just gets you like slavery in that bondage, right? Mm-hmm. And so just think of it from that perspective. What is the difference? Good debt, bad debt, and then just go through what you have, because really what you should do is you are saving to buy assets, right? You're going to save to buy something that's going to spit off passive income. But if you have credit card debt or some of these other debts that, I mean, credit cards are like 20+%, right? You should not be buying assets if you have debt like that, right? So go through and talk about this. Good debt, bad debt. What does it look like for you? Here's a little slide that I put together, right? There's mortgages. You can have mortgages that are good. You can also have mortgages that are on the bad debt side, right? I think a car could be on either side. Is it helping you for your business? Is it helping you grow wealth and make more income? Or is it just a bad decision and you're getting this fancy, flashy car because, because of these things? Student loans, I think it could be either way. A lot of times nowadays, college and all that crap, they're charging an arm and a leg and it's not valuable anymore. But perhaps some of these other schools and or trainings or programs that you're going through, we spent way more money after we graduated college on education and training and mentorship and all of those kind of things. That has made us a ton of money, right? We didn't really pay debt on that, but not really the point. Go through and find out what are the bad debts that you need to knock down. And then really, what are the debts that are acceptable to you that are helping you along this path? And I would say here's a diagram of what the path looks like. Here is your savings plan, right? At the top of the month, you have your personal profit. You want to get to a place where every single month you are bringing in some type of profit for your family, right? And then build your emergency fund, $1,000, right? I think that's a good little number. Make sure that goes into your personal savings account, the one that you and yourself have, you and your spouse have, totally fine, right? Get that. And then you start continuing to save. That money that you save at the end of every month now goes to pay off that bad debt, right? Take that snowball effect. Start with the smallest, get that momentum and that confidence. And I can tell you what, that momentum, that confidence of seeing like, hey babe, I made a difference here on the debt side is super, super important. That confidence and momentum actually is the exact same on the wealth building side as you're growing in assets. The same kind of idea. You get to, a couple deals that are spinning off $1,000, something like that. You start feeling different. You start being like, hey, we spend $5-6 grand a month, but we've already got 20% of this income coming in. You don't have to be totally financially free before you start feeling financially free, right? So don't get discouraged on the hard parts that take a long time, because honestly, it does and can take a good amount of time. But get together with your spouse, get on the same page, right? So after that, you've paid off bad debt, you can still have good debt, and then you're building this reserve amount. You're putting this money into your sacred account. And this is where it's super important. You want to have that separate account. Now, with these sacred accounts, this is kind of the way that I think about it. I want something that is inconvenient. I don't want to have another savings account at my same bank where I have all of my stuff. I don't want to be able to just go on my app and be like, okay, well, you know what? We had this horrible thing happen, so I'm going to transfer 10 grand out of my sacred account into my other, personal checking. I don't want to be able to do that. I don't really trust myself when the crap hits the fan. When the crap does hit the fan, I want to force myself to figure it out. Do I need to work harder? Do I need to pick up more shifts? Do I need to do something different? But when that pressure is here on me, financially speaking, at the end of the month, man, then it forces me to take action. If I'm able to just pull from my sacred account, then I'm just going to take the easy road, right? That's why nobody has any savings, because you set up a system. It makes it easy for you to take the easy road. So I think you should definitely create this sacred account at another bank, right? Even a small bank that's like a credit union or something like that. That way you don't have all the apps and all the cool stuff that you can transfer. Like drive 30 minutes to another part of the city and be like, hey, I just want a savings account here. Don't give me a checkbook. Don't give me a debit card. I want to have to come in and physically talk to you and pull this money out, right? Because it's not my money. When the crap hits the fan, I can't use this money because this is my money when I'm 80 and 90 years old, right? I'm going to spend it much longer or sooner before then because I'm going to buy assets with it in the next 6 months. But this is for my future. So I think you let this money build up. And how much does it take to build up? That's really up to you. I think it can be perhaps $20,000 to $50,000. But as you are going through this whole process here, there's a few steps, right? You're going through and you're paying off your bad debt. You're then saving this money. And I mean, it might take you a year or 2 or 3 years, right? It gives you time to learn an asset. And that's what we're going to be talking about, in the next week or two, is what these assets are, what intrigues you. We've played through a whole different set of things. We started initially by buying mobile homes, and we'd fix them up and we'd sell them on payments and we'd cash flow. That wasn't really great for us. Then we started flipping houses and then cherry picking some of those and buying rental properties and got a decent amount of rental properties. And then we kind of grew past that. We sold those and we moved on to another phase of investments. There's all sorts of stuff you can do, right? You can play in the stock market. You can do whatever you want. And that's really what's fun and exciting about this, because you get to grow yourself, grow your financial intelligence. And there's so many cool books and there's so many cool podcasts. And you can learn about these things, right? You can learn about investing in assisted livings from us. That's one of the things that we do. And it's huge financial rewards for these kind of things. So it gives you time, right? You don't have to know all the answers now. You don't have to have the end of your play ready. You just need to take the first 3 or 4 steps and start getting to this spot where every single month you have 30 or 40% of your income that you are saving. And then you're figuring out what to do with this money. And then I think, honestly, you can do your own deals. We've done all sorts of different deals ourselves. We're putting the deals together, right? We're doing the deal structure on these rehabs and property management and all that kind of stuff. Or you can be totally passive. You can invest in other people's deals. There are plenty of people who are looking for investors, right? It's your choice. Do you want to do the work and take on some risk there, but usually have a huge upside? Or do you want to not do the work and invest in someone else's deal and get a nice, decent, safe return that's usually way more consistent? And it's really up for everybody, right? If you have more time, then you can play slow and safe. If you're not, right? If you're already later in life and you're, a fall chicken, man, then you probably have to put in the time and do the fast deals, do your own deals, get stuff that's, 100% cash on cash, right? Because you're doing the work and the property management and you're doing those kind of things. And you can do those. That's how we started out. We started out buying and cherry picking rental properties. And we had a property manager that we would manage, but it was our own team and crew, and we would do all these rehabs and things like that. And it was a ton of work, but we got to financial freedom really quickly, relatively, right? We were hitting, $10,000 plus a month in cash flow from this within a few years of really diving into this game. And so there's different options for you, and we're going to build towards that. But I would just want to stress that if you do not take this step, it may seem simple. It's like, Brett, it's just a bank account. Duh, it's savings. Well, if it's so dang simple, then why is everyone in this stinking country broke, right? It's not about being simple. It's about setting yourself up for success. And that's executing a plan. That's getting together with your spouse and saying, babe, this is going to suck, but we're going to do it no matter what, because our future is worth it, right? And you have to get on the same page and do this important step of the sacred account. Have a separate account that you do not let yourself touch, because there's always going to be some type of issue for that.
So before we had our separate account, not separate accounts, but sacred account, we would always at the end of the month never have any money left over. And I remember thinking like, man, this sucks. Like there's no money left over. And then the next month would happen and we'd make more money, right? Maybe we sold a property that month and maybe there was, extra income coming in. And so I knew we had extra income coming in, but still at the end of the month, there was still no money. And I'm like, how is this happening? Like, where is this money going? And I think if you don't have a place for that money, like it's going to find a place for you. And so I think you are the one that needs to take control of that, of your money, and put it where it needs to go, not where you technically want it to go. Because a lot of times we want it to go to Amazon, or we want it to go out to dinner, or we want it to go on that vacation, right? But you really need it to go to savings. And this, again, is your future self's money, and it's for your future self. So I think once we read that book, Profit First, by Mike Michalowicz, I think we've referenced that in the past couple calls. But when we read that book and then implemented those strategies and really were able to put money away each month and literally see the profit every month, it was like, oh my gosh, all we had to do was separate this and put it in an account where we couldn't access it, because we knew ourselves at that time that we knew we were going to spend it if it was in that account. So I think that what Brett was saying, creating the sacred account was really important, and getting on the same page with your spouse. I think we're going to say that over and over and over again, because if you are married or maybe you're dating someone very seriously, you need to be on the same page here, because this could cause a lot of strife in your relationship if you are not on the same page in this. We've seen it lots of times in the past where one person's a saver, one person's a spender, and then it's always just this like constant battle. You're not on the same team. It's like one person's on the offense, one person on the defense, right? And you're just clashing heads all the time. So being sure that you're on the same page on this, knowing that you guys both have a goal toward this, is vital in it.
Absolutely. So that is it for this session here. Next week, same time, same place. We're going to build on this. We have 2 more weeks that we're doing. If you have missed any of these, they are on my YouTube channel. If you click on the live section there, you can see them there. And again, if you're going through this without your spouse, man, then bring your spouse back on. Go through these together, right? We keep them short and sweet. You can bang through them in a night or a couple nights and just say, hey, step by step by step, this is the plan that we can take, and you can take the principles from it and make it your own.
You tell them, babe, this means a lot to me. Can you just sit and watch this for me for 30 minutes? It could be as simple as that, right? And if they don't care to sit down for you for 30 minutes and watch them, that it's important to you. That's a whole other story. But I think that them sitting down with you and watching this, it will be vital for financial future for you both. So I did want to go through a few of these questions that we have. A few people reference, or one person referenced The Richest Man in Babylon.
Amazing book.
Yes.
I love that book.
Yes. So I wanted to shout that out. Thanks, Valerie, for that. Let's see here. One person mentioned that they have their emergency fund in a high yield savings account. Should the sacred account be just another savings account or in a brokerage account?
I think you can make it your own on that. I think that's definitely different person by person. Again, it goes back to the principles that you can have access to pay yourself first, right? Every time I get paid or I split my money, whether it's every 2 weeks, every month, I want to be able to put money in there. If you can't do it that regularly, then I don't think it's the best fit. But then also the difficulty of being able to get it out so that it can grow. Then the third component, the most important component, once it does get to 50 or 100 grand or whatever number it is for you, can you spend it on what you want to spend it on? If you're spending all this time and attention learning a niche, and then you're in maybe like, let's say some type of retirement account that you can't invest in that niche, well, that's not really working in your favor, right? So I think it's case by case. Take what is best for you and your family.
Another question, and I may be reading this wrong. I've read it like 3 times in hopes that I'm understanding what this person's saying. So bear with me on this one. Okay. What about using bank on yourself policies for your sacred account?
Bank on yourself?
Is that what that means?
Like a life insurance thing where you pull money out? I'm not sure on that.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure that I wasn't reading it wrong. If you want to restate that question or maybe clarify in the chat, and we can get to that. Another question. Do you recommend maxing out your IRA before starting to put money in a sacred account?
In principle, yes. But I think that's, again, a personal question. Same with like if your company is matching, yeah, for sure, do that. But it really comes back to what's the best use, right? I mean, if you can put an extra couple grand a year into your IRA, fantastic, right? If that happens to be 100% of your savings, that's a way different thing than if you happen to also be saving 200 grand a year. Then it's like, oh, that's just a little bit of money there. It might not even be worth it might just stop you from doing a bigger deal. So I think, again, that is a case-by-case thing. What works best for you and your family?
That's all the questions we got.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, good. We like to keep them short, sweet, action-packed.
To the point.
Next week, we're hitting session 5 out of 6 on this, and we're building towards the good things, right? How to buy cool crap that's going to make us money and spit off money babies every single month, right? That's where we want to get to.
Mm-hmm. It's not just for that. It's for, to be honest, like we really just want to be able to purchase assets that give us money so that we can and then like give it back. And that's like maybe a cliche thing to say, but like who doesn't want to be that one person that is able to help your family or able to help that community member or able to help somebody like your neighbor or something, right? Like everybody wants to be that person. And so utilizing these tactics and skills that we're teaching you financially will be able to get you there. And so it's fun to be able to give and help people. Like it literally brings us joy. Like I love it. It's a lot of fun. And so buying assets to give you that money can get you there.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. Well, you have a wonderful evening. We'll see you all next week.
Bye, y'all.